welcome to the 6:30 show, a unique blend of Nottinghamshire chat and cheerfulness. So coming your way tonight, they say Christmas is a magical time. Well, we have our own magic. Prepare to be amazed. 1 in 5 30-year-olds can't afford to buy a house or even get married. You'll hear from the local wedding planner on the soaring cost of your big day. Sherwood Forest will get a new name that works better for Chinese tourists. It hasn't been decided yet. Any ideas? Joining me on the sofa tonight, we have magician Roy Bonds from Carlton and wedding planner Valerie Mattinson, who lives in Woodthorpe. Welcome to both of you.
Welcome.
We've got topics right up our guest street tonight. We'll start with magic. Christmas, it's a magical time. Well, given the fact that St Nick will be delivering presents to all the good boys and girls around the world in a single evening, magical enough. We thought we'd get you in the mood with a little magic of our own then, because Roy here went out to mesmerise the shoppers in the Exchange Arcade earlier today. Take a look.
Your last name, please?
Helen Briggs.
Briggs. I'm just going to get you an insurance card before we go any further, Helen. Does that worry you now that you know there might be an issue with insurance? Well, it really doesn't. But we have an insurance card here, Helen, in case it goes wrong. This was a good knot. If you hold your hand out, it won't make any difference, because if I could drop it into your hand, it would be a good ending, wouldn't it? It would be a very good ending. So I'm going to leave that on the table. Would you take the ring from the pocket this time, please? Nothing at all? Well, there must be another option then. I probably didn't give you this option earlier on. Yeah, it's here. This is a little app that I have for it. And if it all goes wrong, we print one of these off, we hand that out to whoever the routine goes wrong for, and they turn that over. And on the back, there's a written message there for you.
Is it pocket in the wallet?
Yeah, I don't want to touch the wallet. Would you open the wallet for me, please? And take the zip down on the spine of the wallet for me. Inside there, you'll find a sealed envelope. Would you take the sealed envelope out? And on the face, it says, just in case. That's in case your ring isn't where you expected it to be. Would you like to open the envelope for me, please? So we're whole again. And now you don't trust me at all, which is a good thing. Now, the thing about today is we're trying to put the magic back into Christmas. Because as you get older, the magic starts to go a bit. It's still magical for the kids. So I'm going to try and bring the magic back into Christmas a little bit. Madam, can you just click your fingers near the cup for me, please? Excellent. And you see already it's started. We have a Christmas tree. Well, that's very good. I don't know how you did that. The technique's fantastic. So we have one more decoration here. This is a bigger bauble, so it makes it more difficult for me because all 4 of your hands are going to be on the at the same time. Would you place your hand on top of the cup, sir? Here's the bigger one. Ladies, please, hands on the top. We have the fourth and final. Don't let me in. Can you feel anything at all? Remove your hands. We have the 4th and final. Here, there's the 4th and final Christmas decoration. Thank you. So these are blank front and back. Would you give me your signature on the face of the card for me, please? And then I'll show that to the camera, just in case there's any doubt that it is. Actually, we have a close-up of the signature. So we have a signed card. So we're going to write something seasonal, something like Merry Christmas from Notts TV. So we have a situation where we have a card with a greeting on it. We have a card with a signature. Would you put your hand out for me, please? I'm going to give you your signed card in your hand.
Right.
Very warm hands, by the way. The other thing is now you have to put your other hand on the top to stop that card blowing away.
Okay.
I'm going to try and swap this card for the one you've got in your hands now. Make sure you don't leave any corners showing, because it makes the next bit a little bit easier for me, that's all. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
So, my card, or Notts TV's card, for your signed card. Did you feel anything at all? And at this point, you would say still nothing had happened. You have your signed card.
Yeah.
You see, you really don't. You see, I have your signed card.
What are you doing to me?
And you should have Notts TV's card. What does it say on the face of that? Merry Christmas from Notts TV.
Oh, wow. Well done. You've got your sleeves rolled up. I was going to say, let's see what's up your sleeves.
Nothing. Don't use them.
Yeah, gosh, how long does it take to get to that stage then, Roy, where you can pull the wool over our eyes?
I would say it takes, on certain routines, weeks and weeks.
Really?
Well, yeah.
What, of just practice?
Yeah, I'm not one of those people that can just practice solidly. I have to do it until I can't do it anymore. I can't make myself do it. I have to do it while I enjoy it, and then I learn faster. When I get to a point where I've had enough, I just put it down to one side. I have a little place in the kitchen where I keep all the new things that I'm working on, and if I'm walking past, I'll pick it up and have another go at it.
So I know you can't give away your tricks, otherwise you have to kill me.
Yes.
And everyone watching, which we won't ask you to do that.
No.
But things like, you know, the card, is it about being really nifty with your fingers?
It's a combination of a lot of things. It can be being quick with your hands. It can be using
distraction techniques.
Yeah, misdirection. It can be kind of a hypnosis kind of thing on certain routines. Very slight methods of hypnosis.
Hypnosis?
Yeah, on a small degree.
Really?
It's not, yeah.
Looking into my eyes, looking around my eyes, looking into my eyes.
Yeah. That's a good one, actually. That's a good impression.
Back in the room.
I like it. I like it. So, yeah, there's a lot of things that add up. And also, I think being able to speak while you're performing, it distracts people as well. If you throw questions at them while you're performing, they have to think. And while they're thinking about that, they're not thinking about what you're doing.
Valerie, did you ever have any little magic tricks as a kid? Because I went through a phase of, you know, having them as presents. Yes. Yeah, that's right. And you can work out the obvious ones.
Yeah.
But I'd never had any aptitude or bothered to put any time into practice.
Well, that's everything. It's really everything.
Yeah, that's what magic is.
Practice.
Fabulous. Now, here's a question for you. Is it acceptable to claim compensation for something like having to have a blood test? I'm asking because around a dozen law firms are advertising their services at the moment, claiming you could be entitled to compensation if you're a former patient of the dentist Desmond DeMello. He was filmed using dirty instruments and may have put patients at risk of infections like hepatitis and HIV. But just for the stress of having a test, you could get some cash, so say the adverts. Well, earlier I spoke to Linda Milband. She's a lawyer from Thompson's and Bayshiley Clayton from Nelson's. I asked Linda how successful a claim for just stress would be.
Well, only if you can prove that you have suffered a psychiatric illness. And you have to remember that the claim has to be over £1,000 in value in order to claim your costs back. Otherwise, it falls beneath the small claims limit. So people should be aware of that, because if indeed they do pursue claims which have very little value, they may not get the full cost back at the end of the day.
Basically, are you surprised by the aggressive targeting of these advertising campaigns that suggest people could be entitled to money just for the worry of having a blood test, not for getting an infection, just for the worry?
I do think it's pretty unfair, actually, because it's quite a lot of scaremongering when it's not really necessary. The NHS England have said the risk is very low. There's been no proven infection that this dentist was carrying himself, so the risk of actually contracting something is very minimal. I think that a lot of these adverts that are going out from these solicitors, I think claimants and patients should be quite cautious when approaching them, or vice versa, being approached to pursue a claim that actually may leave them out of pocket at the end of it, if nothing else.
We do seem to live in a compensation culture now, don't we, where you're being encouraged to claim for whiplash injuries, let's say, when you might not even know that you've got a problem. You know, I've had texts from people saying you can claim after your accident, and I haven't had one recently. You're getting inquiries, though, aren't you, from members of the public?
Yes, we are getting inquiries, and I think it's because people aren't entirely certain whether to go for the blood test and whether that will actually lead to anything further in the future. I think there's just a general worry, but I think people shouldn't be too concerned.
A couple of lawyers talking to me earlier on in our news programme. I've had texts. You get called at home by, you know, these law firms. And Valerie, you used to be a lawyer.
Oh, yes, I did.
What do you think about your profession when, you know, you see adverts like this one saying, for the stress of a blood test, claim, claim, claim?
I think it is a shame, because I think there is a bit of a tendency to become a bit Americanised with the whole claim culture, and it does play on the insecurities and sensitivities that people will have in that type of situation, where they are obviously concerned about the news that they're hearing.
So you might not be feeling
call,
stressed, but someone says, gosh, you can claim for being stressed, and then suddenly you start feeling stressed because I should be stressed.
But I think picking up on the point you made, that some people receive calls and texts and they haven't had an accident, they haven't been involved. You know, they say it can be a bit of a fishing exercise sometimes, and getting you worried about something that perhaps you weren't worried about. Not to take away from people who genuinely do have, you know, issues that they are able to claim in respect of.
And the problem with all of this, it's very nice for the individual if they can get a bit of cash. But at the end of the day, it's all of us that are paying for it, aren't we?
Yep.
Our motor insurance policies, the whiplash claims that are going, you know, one after the other that are going through the books. Our premiums are going up as a result.
Yeah.
But then, if we get the chance of making a claim, are we going to say, oh no, for the sake of the common good, we wouldn't?
Well, I've been contacted about an accident I had years and years ago, and it really was my fault. But the people that I was speaking to were saying that I could claim something. I thought, no. And the phone calls never stopped after that. As soon as I spoke to one of them,
Really?
they never stopped. I had to block the numbers, I must have, because of those kind of phone calls, about 46 blocked numbers on my phone, just so I don't have to answer the phone to them.
I wonder what sort of job satisfaction the law firms involved in all of that aggressive marketing get, really.
I think as well that sometimes those calls come from companies that aren't the law firms. They're actually, you know, insurance companies have got companies actually involved where they sell lists and things like that. So there has been, you know, there have been quite a lot of complaints about things like that.
Yes. Well, after the break, how much did your wedding cost, and which Nottinghamshire brands are being given Chinese names to bring in more tourists? Back in a moment.
Nettrams, bringing Nottingham together.
Well, we did it.
2 days solid.
Yep. Breaking Bad, done.
I'm gonna hit the hay. Same time next week.
Bye.
Addictive TV with Netflix, movies and BT Sport, plus BT Infinity Fibre Optic, all for an unbelievable price.
House of Cards?
Yeah.
House of Cards.
Since 1973, family-run business KLG has been providing local people with bespoke quality products and an excellent customer service. KLG are a leading provider of windows, doors, conservatories, soffits and fascias designed to suit any type of building or property. Visit our showroom to see our extensive range, manufactured on-site and available for us to carry out a hassle-free installation. Call today and find out how we can transform your property. Streamline your reception visitor system with VM Easy. Touchscreen self-check-in or fully managed by reception. Visit vmeasy.co.uk.
In life, we have choices. I had a choice. Move to London to pursue a dream, or choose a real foundation to build my career on. I chose Confetti. At Confetti, I develop the right skills and make the right connections. I work with the latest technology. I work on real-life projects. And at Confetti, I can truly become the person I know I can be. If you want industry training, train in the industry.
Welcome back to the 6:30 show with me, Frances Finn, and I'm joined by magician Roy Bond from Hyson Green and wedding planner Valerie Mattinson, who lives in Woodthorpe. Now, it's nearly Christmas, and so few of us are feeling flush at the moment, but spare a thought for the average 30-year-old. New figures suggest that only 1 in 5 of them can afford to get on the housing ladder, and the same amount cannot afford a wedding either. In fact, the average cost of a wedding has now reached £18,000. Wowzers! Valerie here is an award-winning wedding planner. Valerie, £18,000. Come on, you can do it for less than that.
You can do it for less than that. I have to say, I have clients who come to me for help at different stages of their planning. I had an inquiry this week, a couple I'm working with. They've decided they want to get married. on their own. They don't want any guests, they're going to have witnesses, and then they want to have a chef at home experience and then disappear off for 2 weeks. So that they want help to plan that.
They want your help to plan a wedding for them on their own.
To help them find, exactly. I know, I did think, is this really the case?
Yeah.
But they want some help initially with, is it possible? And there's all sorts of different arrangements that need to happen for them because one of them's in the forces and things like that. So it's that sort of help.
Do you find the ambition for the fairy tale wedding is something that invariably comes from the ladies? The blokes would be happy having a curry and a pint and just having, you know, 6 people there.
I have to say, not always.
Really?
I've had clients who... I never make assumptions. I don't assume it's going to be the bride or the groom that will take a lead on whichever aspect of planning. I've had some brides who have literally switched off and said, if that's what they're going to have, that's fine. Grooms who have said, I want to be there at every meeting, every discussion, and grooms and brides and brides.
Yeah, so, but then they'll still say, whatever you say, darling. I'm just...
Not necessarily.
I'm joking. I'm dreaming.
Works for me.
Yes, and Roy, you know, yours was a low-key affair, wasn't it?
It was indeed,
Was it your first one?
It's my first one and only, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I think sometimes second and third marriages, they can be a little less flamboyant, let's say. But £18,000. No wonder 30-year-olds can't afford to get married.
I think about that as the price of my first house. It was the price of my first house. £18,000. It's
So what's the money going on, Valerie? What's the must-have wedding things at the moment?
Differs really. Sometimes the largest proportion of wedding spend, no matter whether you're aiming at a couple of thousand or 20, 30, 40, 50,000 beyond, the most of that is on food and drink. So actually, lots of people have asked for advice on how can we trim our budget. So we look at the time of day of the wedding, the day of the week, and how you're going to feed your guests. And actually, the trend to have moving in now into the evening so that you have an evening party and not feeding people twice, that can be quite expensive. Or the expectation that you will pay for all of the drinks. You may pay for some, at the meal and then
have a bar.
Exactly.
Yes. Oh, dear. I mean, you can understand why people put it off. But I just think if you really love someone and you want to get married, it's a shame that you'd be put off tying the knot because of the expense. Perhaps do you think couples are under pressure a bit to have that big white wedding thing in a hotel with posh food?
I think yes, there is that pressure. I also think that people still think that, being a wedding planner, I will only have clients who are spending thousands of pounds. That figure, 18 to 25,000 is the figure that's quoted quite a lot in terms of the average, the cost of the average wedding. And I have had clients who've spent in that region and others who are intending not to. And I help them with all their budget and planning around that. Mine
was dirt cheap. I slightly regret it in terms of it was cheap because I did so much of the work myself along with my mum. But here's a tip on catering. If you like curry, Asian caterers, they're used to doing 500 people at a wedding. They will not blink at 100 guests. And ours was £4 a head. For a fabulous...
Perfect.
I mean, this is 10 years ago, but they were amazing. It's worth looking them up. I'll just leave that with you. Now, I want you to put your sales head on just for a moment. What would you do to get more Chinese people to visit Nottinghamshire? Get better links with Chinese travel agents? Shout about Robin Hood a bit more? Set up a theme park? Well, the latest idea to attract more tourists is to give our famous brands Chinese names. 2 of our offerings have been chosen to be included in the national list of things that will be rebranded and made more Chinesey. Colston Bassett Cheese and Sherwood Forest. Erin Huckle is from Experience Nottinghamshire.
I think Stilton is something that is unique to the UK, obviously quite unique to our region as well, and it's something that popular with the Chinese market but doesn't have a name that they can use in Chinese, in Mandarin. So it was chosen along with other iconic foods in the UK such as Cornish pasties and Devon cream teas. Sherwood Forest obviously is known around the world as the home of Robin Hood, and it doesn't have its own Chinese name. So it's a place that's of particular interest to the Chinese market and somewhere that people from China do tend to include when they come and visit Nottinghamshire. So it makes sense to include in this campaign. So being part of the campaign means Sherwood Forest and Stilton Cheese will definitely have Chinese names. They're part of the list of 101 places that are going to be given names by the Chinese public, and some of the key landmarks in the UK have already been given names. So places like the Gherkin in London, and its Chinese name translates to pickled little cucumber, I think it is, and Buckingham Palace has already been given a name as well. So we're up there with some really impressive and well-known landmarks, and it will just help raise the profile of Nottinghamshire even further.
So, just to be clear on this, we keep Sherwood Forest and Colston Bassett as our names, but the way they're marketed in China is they're given a different name. Something that they will be more interested in, perhaps, I don't know, easy to say, easy to relate to. As an example, Benedict Cumberbatch is called Curly Fu, I think, by the Chinese. Yeah, that's their name for him. They like to give things a nickname, you see. Yeah, but so the question really, I think, what name? What could you call Sherwood Forest and Colston Bassett? Yet to be decided. But those are the two things that have been decided on to include in the national list for Nottinghamshire. Are they the right things to plump for? The Stilton and Sherwood Forest?
Well, I think there's something missing. There's Nottingham Castle is missing. That's iconic, as are the caves. I mean, they're hundreds and hundreds of years old. We have one of the oldest, or if not the oldest, pub in Britain. We have Trip to Jerusalem, which must stand for something.
Yeah.
I wouldn't, if I thought of Nottingham and Nottinghamshire, I wouldn't have thought of Colton Bassett cheese. It wouldn't have.
It is a good. Stilton is a good brand, I think.
But it wouldn't spring to my mind.
Yes, but you know there are other Stiltons, aren't there? It's not the thing unique to Nottinghamshire.
No.
What would you have on the list, Valerie?
I'd say Woollerton Hall would be on the list. I think increasingly it has international recognition now. I know people that have visited the UK and have come to Nottingham to go to Woollerton Hall because of the Batman movie.
Do you?
And
Do you get requests for weddings there?
Weddings, yes.
Yeah.
In the prospect room at the top of Woollerton Hall that overlooks the park where they filmed that.
Let's get married in Batman's house.
People want to be in there.
Yeah.
Not very practical, but, you know, they want to be in there. But, you know, I'm surprised of the cheese being... I'm not surprised in terms of Sherwood Forest. I'm surprised of Colston Bassett being...
Sherwood Forest, definitely. If we could just get this visitor centre themed area organised for there, then I think we wouldn't need to rebrand it. People will come flocking.
And they might... I don't know whether are they on about building a new Nottingham Castle?
Yes, the castle's going to have work done on it as well. So watch this space then. Now, Liverpool and Birmingham have the worst accents in the country. That's according to a poll by YouGov. Thankfully, the Notts accent didn't make the list of the most hated ones, obviously because we have such a charming tone. So perhaps more of us should adopt it. Al Needham says the way we speak is mint, and he wants to educate you.
Number one, don't do standard Northern, because that's rubbish. We're not Northerners, we're Midlanders. Number two, instead of E. So, you know, my sister's called Tracer, and her best mate was Manda, and, you know, we come from Top Valley. The next one would be code. You know, it's ever so code at the minute, because it's this time of year. But you can say code and ode, but you don't say goad. You can say showed us, but goad, no, ignore that. Advanced Nottingham speak is R instead of A. So, for example, Tanya and a non-R went on Trish-R for a lie detector. And that's pretty much it, really. It's easy.
Fab, I'm off to Asda. Is Al right about how to summarise the Notts accent? Have you got that? Has he got that right, Roy? Someone who grew up here.
You hear that? That's standard, isn't it? It's standard.
I think it's such an interesting county we live in because people in Nottingham, especially youngsters, do speak differently to just a few miles up the road in like Sutton in Ashfield or Skegby or Mansfield. And when you go further north, it does become, you know, like the mining communities have got a much more, to the untrained ear, northern accent.
Yeah.
But we're not northern, obviously. And then the whole Leicester thing, the Leicester, you know, that's coming in. Yeah. Catherine Tate's character.
Oh,
such
classic.
a, you know, it's really difficult to define and to mimic, isn't it?
But they use those very well, don't they, for characters?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Valerie, you're sort of neutral in the way you speak, a bit like I am. It's just how things have worked out.
Yes.
Yeah. Have you made an effort to resist the Notts accent?
Not especially. I have to say, I came to Nottingham as a student originally in 1986. I'm from London originally, and I don't hear that my accent's changed. When I go back home and I talk to my family, they say, well, and you know, Londoners think anything past Watford Gap is north.
Yeah.
My husband is from North Yorkshire. He is definitely of the view that Nottingham isn't north; it's in the East Midlands. So it's very different.
What's your vowels like these days? And what do you get into to clean yourself? That's in the
bath.
You say bath, do you? Yeah.
Bath.
See, it's
Bath for
bath,
me.
isn't it? It is
Yeah.
bath. Sorry, but it is bath.
And my children would say bath, yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing, you hear your children coming out with all sorts, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, my daughter says again, which, I mean, I say again.
I say again.
But again, and she's sort of putting an extra syllable in that, again. And, you know, that's quite a local thing as well to some people, but not everyone.
Not everybody. And I don't think there is a one Nottingham accent.
No, there isn't.
We're going to leave it there. Thank you to my guests, Roy and Valerie. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.